What's up, everyone? The UFC Abu Dhabi fight night just wrapped up, and honestly, it was a pretty solid event. Maybe around a 6 out of 10 overall. Nothing that blew the roof off, but a strong fight night card nonetheless. Now, I've got to be real, I didn't do too well on my picks this time around. I went 6 for 12, a flat 50%, which definitely isn't one of my better nights. But the underdogs showed up in a big way. 7 of them got the upset, and 4 of those were plus 200 or more. That's insane. I did manage to get 2 of those right, but Don Guskov and Tabitha Ritchie, but missed on guys like Rinya, Derrida, Muslim, Salikov, Davy Grant, Billy Alenkar, and Martin Boudet. So yeah, this was absolutely the card of the underdogs. Let's talk about the main event. Rinya Derrida picked up a split decision win over Robert Whittaker, with 2 judges scoring at 48 to 47 in his favor, and 1 for Whittaker. A lot of people are split on this one. Rinya got rounds 2, 4, and 5 understandable for 2 and 4, but round 5, that's where things get controversial. What really stood out to me was how different these two looked in size. It's wild to think they're in the same weight class. Derrida looked like a legit heavyweight in there. The fight started off interesting. The first 3 rounds had some action, but rounds 4 and 5, Rinya just clinched Whittaker to the fence and started wall-end stalling. Not a ton of damage, but just enough to win on control and volume. Whittaker didn't offer much offense late, and a huge part of that was because of those knees to the body. Rinya was drilling him with left knees from round 1 through 5, just repeatedly piercing the midsection. It was clear those knees were taking a toll on Whittaker's cardio and output. Rinya's not explosive or flashy. He's slow, but he's massive, and he uses every bit of that size advantage. This guy used to be a 225-pound champion before cutting down, so it's no surprise he could just muscle a guy like Whittaker around, and his game plan was perfect. He wasn't there to knock Whittaker out. He just wanted to control, neutralize, and win the rounds. Clinch, pressure, land a few knees, and short shots, and it worked. Whittaker had almost no offense in the clinch. Maybe 10 strikes the whole fight, and most of those weren't meaningful. It's hard to fight off a guy that big when he's leaning on you for 10 straight minutes. Rinya is going to have that edge against most of the division. Honestly, outside of guys like Dricus, Duplessis, or Khamzat Chimaev, nobody's really going to be able to fight him off in those spots. The guy's game is basic at range jab knee, sometimes a wild overhand or high kick, but that left knee to the body is lethal and constant. Targeting Whittaker's body made total sense because speed is Whitaker's biggest strength. Rinya chipped away at it. The frustrating part is Whitaker should have known this was coming. Rinya finished his last opponent the exact same way. You'd think he'd be better prepared. Instead, he allowed himself to be trapped on the cage. And once he was there, it was rinse and repeat body shots. Knees, cage control. Now. Credit where it's due. Whitaker had a strong start. He looked good in the first and second rounds. He even dropped Rinya with a beautiful overhand right while angling off. That shot landed flush. It reminded me of when Masvidal clipped Covington with that fade-out punch. Same lateral movement, same kind of torque, and man, Rinya just ate it. He's built different. I thought the fight might be over right there, but Rinya powered through it. Still, Whitaker's clearly not in his prime anymore. He's slowed down, he's not as sharp, and physically, he just couldn't hang with Rinya for 5 rounds. Even though he defended most of the takedowns, the constant forward pressure, the clinching, the body shots, they drained him. And Rinya's going to keep doing this to other fighters. He's huge, durable, and doesn't slow down. Of attrition, and unless someone can match his strength or keep him at range for 25 minutes, they're going to have problems. Eventually, it just feels like fate that he and Dricus du Plessis are going to collide. The wildest, goofiest brawl we'll ever see. I'm not even joking. Imagine a double KO. Rinya lands a knee to the liver. Dricus blasts him with an overhand, and they both go down. It's that kind of matchup. And they've sparred before. They've trained together. They've spoken about each other. That fight is coming. In the meantime, Rinya could fight Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland, or the loser of the title fight. If Adesanya ends up fighting Strickland next, as expected, then Rinya should get the loser. And maybe after that, he faces Dricus or even Khamzat. For Whitaker, I think it's time for a crossroads. A fight with Roman Dolidze would make sense. But if he loses that, it might be time to seriously consider retirement. That would be a sign of a steep decline. Moving to the co-main, Petr Yan picked up a clean, unanimous decision over Marcus McGee. Scorecards read 29-28 across the board. The first round was competitive. McGee had some solid moments, but from round 2 onward, Yan took over. What impressed me the most was Yan's mid-fight adjustments. He started off getting tagged by McGee's lead right uppercut from southpaw. But by round 2, he was reading those setups, intercepting the exits, and landing hard counters. McGee was trying to chain that uppercut into a left straight, and sometimes even ending combinations with the same strike. But Yan adapted, started blocking the first punch, then interrupting the follow-ups before they could land. And of course, he hit that signature outside trip he lands on everyone. The first attempt missed, but later in the fight he had McGee stuck against the fence for nearly 2 minutes. Even the ref was warning Yan for stalling, but to be fair, he did shoot and got a brief takedown. What followed next was high-level stuff. After they broke from the cage, Yan landed the outside trip again and immediately transitioned into a Kimura setup. That sequence trip into submission attempt was elite. Not many fighters can pull that off with that kind of fluidity. Now, on a 3-fight win streak, beating Figueroa, Song Yadong, and now McGee, he deserves another crack at the title. I think the rematch with Merab Dvalishvili is the one to make. And while I don't think anyone beats Merab right now, Yan's earned his shot. As for McGee, even though he lost, he fought well. He's ranked 9 spots below Yan and held his own for over a round and a half. He should fight up in the rankings. Next, a perfect matchup. Tito Vera. That fight makes sense both competitively and stylistically, and I honestly think McGee could win that one. We also had Sharabutin Magumda, fake. Shar Bullet beat Marc-Andre Barrio by unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. But don't let that score fool you. It was a competitive fight. Barrio came in as a heavy underdog and fought way better than most expected. Shar Bullet had a great first round behind leg kicks, but round 2 was chaos. Barrio broke his nose with a right-hand counter after dodging a long-range elbow attempt. Both guys were throwing heat, but Shar Bullet kept coming. Even with a broken nose, he kept his cardio, stayed flashy with the kicks, and landed more clinch knees that hurt Barrio. In round 3, Shar Bullet showed great fight IQ. As Barrio pressured, he shot a double leg knot to finish it, but to shift position and get back into the clinch, where he was having all his success. That kind of strategy is high level. He used the takedown to transition back into his preferred range, landed knees, and dropped Barrio again. Now, I think Shar Bullet should fight Roman Kopylov next. That would be a banger. 2 great strikers, both comfortable at range. It just makes sense. I'll keep going in the next part with all the other performances, including Guskov's knockout, Bryce Mitchell's grindy win, and a ridiculous 107 round by Stephen Wynn. There's a lot to cover from this card, so stay tuned for part 2.